the problem is police despotism. Despotism means it has its roots in ancient cultures, these ancient dynasties and kings and rulers and emperors. Well, the law is for the peasants. The law is not for them. And that's what's going on in this country and why things are so screwed up. Because if an officer is wearing that uniform and that badge, he is basically invincible to the law. He can rape, he can murder, he can steal. In fact, there's one form of police stealing, they call it forfeiture, where cops can help themselves to your personal property, and there's not a damn thing you can do. They can walk into your house, claim you committed some crime, whether you did or not, doesn't matter, because the only option, if you're poor, the only option you have is to go to one of these kangaroo courts, where you've got about 1 minute to try to defend yourself against these charges, and oftentimes it's your word against some police officer, and these kangaroo courts are going to take the police officer's word 99% of the time. Alright? So, I mean, there's little or no justice, and this is what leads. Now, while a lot of police officers, okay, let's be fair, a lot of police officers are decent people with a conscience, but there are some that aren't. I mean, if you are a serial murderer, you're a psychopathic, sadistic serial, you like killing people, raping or torturing people, and the dream job is to become a police officer. Because if you got that uniform and that badge, you are invincible. You cannot be prosecuted. It's almost impossible. Even with this blatant thing. Now, I said in the last video how the media hypes up this black versus white thing, and they're trying to make it look like all white people are monsters and all blacks are victims. And in reality, a lot of these police killings of blacks, a lot of times the blacks were asking for trouble. They may not have probably didn't deserve to be killed, but they were asking for trouble in many cases. Now, this case with this George Floyd, I mean, this was a blatant case of murder. I mean, torture murder. This cop was obviously a sadistic psychopath. I mean, there's no question he was. There was absolutely no reason for him to do what he did. The cops, they're supposed to arrest people and put them in the squad car and take them down. Now, if they're guilty of doing something, we're not 100% certain. To be fair, it looks like this guy may have been up to something, but I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard proof of that yet. But there was absolutely no reason to be sitting there grinding your knees into his neck and back. And cops do this. Is a technique cops do all the time. They grind their knees into people. And I've seen several videos of people that have been killed. But it's a form of torture is what it is. I remember as a kid wrestling around with other kids. And occasionally one of them would grind their knees into you, and it hurt like hell. And that's a kid. Imagine a grown man grinding his knees. You grind your knees into somebody's back, chest, and definitely in their neck. You're going to block off their own way. And not only is it extremely painful, I mean, if you do it long enough, you're going to kill them. And I've seen more than one video of people that have been killed by cops grinding their knees into people. And there's no reason for it. I've been there, okay? I did short patrol in the Navy. If we had somebody who was resisting arrest, which occasionally did, usually if they're drunk, we would, you got 4 guys, each guy take an arm and leg. I mean, it's not that hard to overpower a guy when you got 4 on 1. We'd handcuff him to a stretcher. And then we'd put him in the back room or on the helo deck or something. And he can scream and yell and rant and rave and piss himself, whatever he wants to do. And eventually he'll pass out. The next morning, uncuff him, and he gets written up. And, he'd probably feel like shit. Might have some marks on his wrist. If he's thrashing around, he might have hurt himself. But, he's not going to die. And it's basically his own fault. So, I mean, and if we could do it, why can't these cops do it? We didn't grind our knees into people on the concrete until they die. We didn't do that. And I don't know why U.S. cops think that it's okay for them to grind their knees into people on the concrete, but that seems to be a tradition in this country. And like I said in the last video, they're constantly pushing this race thing. They want the black race to absolutely hate the white race and commit violence against the white race. And so, I mean, this latest murder, okay, this George Floyd, this was a blatant case of murder. Blatant case of the police believing they can do whatever the hell they damn well. They can rape, they can murder, they can steal. But as long as they're wearing that uniform and that badge, they're above the law. This time, they didn't get away with it. There was just too much public uproar about it. But, you know, if it's a white on black crime, it's headlines. And they often exaggerate or even lie about some of the facts. This one was blatant, okay? This was a blatant case of murder, okay? But most of the time, a lot of these blacks that get killed by cops, a lot of times they're asking for it. They may didn't deserve to die, but, you know, they're asking for it, you know? So they're not completely, even this George Floyd, I mean, they found drugs in his system. They're saying, oh, what an angel he was. I don't think he was an angel. He looked like a pretty rough character, in my opinion. He was clearly had a problem with drugs, and almost certainly he was involved with some kind of shady dealing when the cops arrested him. He didn't deserve to die. In the United States, they have this tradition of knee grinding. There's no excuse for just grinding your knees into somebody. It's just a bullying. It's torture. It's sadism. But and they also like to tackle American cops. I guess it's football season or something, you know. And of course, when you tackle people on concrete, they often get injured, sometimes even killed. I mean, they slam their head on the ground and they can die. It happens, okay? But the thing is, the media makes it like it's just always white on black. It's not. There's plenty of white people that get killed. The worst case of police brutality I've ever seen was Terri Schiavo. Look it up. I actually did a video on that in my last channel where I enhanced the video because you couldn't see it because it's dark. I mean, they were tortured. They were holding this guy down and they were twisting his arms and legs behind his back with all their weight. And he's screaming in agony. And they beat his face so bad, it didn't even look like a human face. They beat him so bad. I mean, this was a clear case of torture murder, and the cops got off. And some rabbi-looking lawyers got him off. Every time. Well, most of the time. And that's the thing, you know, there's always going to be evil in this world. There's always going to be pain and suffering in this world. But there's a lot of things we could do to make it better. These people want to make it worse. They want blood to flow in the streets, and that's what they want. That's what they're doing, everything to encourage that to happen. And, you know, they got to lay in this bed too, you know. They're going to live in this world too. And they're too insane, or, you know, to realize that. They want chaos, they want evil. And I don't know what the solution is. Nobody's watching my videos, and if I try to boost this channel so I start getting more views, they're just going to shut it down. So hardly anybody's hearing my words. And I haven't been putting up enough videos to prove myself. I did in the past. And I prove what I'm saying is right, and document what I'm saying, and they just shut it down. So it's like, I don't know why I even bother. And there's several factors what's going on right now. Well, the underlying root cause, and this has its roots back in ancient cultures. It's despotism, where like this, the ruling class is above the law. You know, the law is for the peasants, not for the rulers. And it's an extremely screwed up system that needs to go bye-bye, like several centuries ago. Yet they want to keep it going, and it's harmful to everybody. It's harmful to them in the long run too, because it creates chaos. You know, when you suppress people, you know, the public will take a lot of crap, okay, for a long time. Eventually, you know, if you push them too far, they eventually grab their torches and pitchforks and wanting to fight back and get revenge. The problem is, when they get into that state, they don't think intelligently. They're acting like a bunch of wild animals, which is what we're seeing now with the looting. And they go and they harm the wrong targets. You know, I'll give you an example, like in the Caribbean. You know, this was before Christians were there. Just had these satanic, Masonic rulers. You can't mention that they were J people or anything like that, but anyway, they didn't have Christian morals. And so what they would do, one of the problems with slavery is you can't lay off your slaves. Okay, you got to keep feeding them. So if there's not enough work for them to do, they just become useless eaters. And so what they would do is they just quit feeding them in the Caribbean. And of course, when they start starving to death, then they would grab their torches and pitchforks and fight back. But they would kill anybody, everybody. They'd kill anybody who was white, even because there were white Christians who had nothing to do with the slave trade. They were butchered. But then they didn't feed on each other. I mean, they just act like wild animals. And so that's what you're seeing right now, you know. And I don't know when this is going to ever end because, you know, there are demonic, satanic forces that operate. And there's this secret mafia which operates behind the scene. They want to keep this going. And they're constantly pushing this race card. Constantly. The last video I put up, it was shut down for hate speech, but they somehow brought it back again. I'm surprised. I'm shocked that they decided to let it back. Who knows? It might get shut down again as well as this one.